Hey guys, and welcome. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful and sometimes intimidating features of DaVinci Resolve, notes for color grading. If you're coming from software like Premiere Pro with its Lumetri Color panel, notes seems like a whole new world, but trust me, once you get the hang of them, you'll wonder how you ever graded without them. In this video, I'm gonna break down what notes actually are, how the basic types of notes work, how they're similar to, but more powerful than traditional layers, a simple, effective workflow using notes to get great looking footage. Don't worry if notes look a bit scary at first, we'll go step by step, and by the end, you'll have a solid understanding. Let's jump into DaVinci Resolve and get started. Right, when you first open the color page in DaVinci Resolve, it will automatically create a note for you right here, and this is note number 1. Think of it as a container for your color adjustment, like all your grades, your contrast, your color, and saturation will live inside one or more of these nodes. So every node has an input, the arrow right here, and an output square right here, and the signal flows from left to right, from the initial input of your clip through your nodes, and then the final output. So the clip that you're looking at right here, these signals is fed from this input right here and then through the nodes and then output. And basically this one, the monitor right here is the output. So the output of this signal is right here. So for example, if I make changes to this node right here, and you will see the color changes. You'll also see these blue arrows right here. These are for output channels and mainly for mask. We'll touch on this a bit later, but it's more advanced. If you're used to Premiere Pro, you can think of it like a single node as being somewhat similar to one instance of Lumetri Color effect. All your primary wheels, curves, qualifiers, etc. for that specific step are applied within that node. So, what are serial nodes? The most common type of node you'll see is a serial node that works sequentially. The output of one node becomes the input for the next. So if I add node, add serial node, everything I changed in here will be the input for this node. So for example, if I take all the colors away from this node, and for this node, it has no color to work with, so no matter what I change the saturation, it will always stay the same. Think of serial node like layers in Photoshop or Premiere. Node 1 is your bottom layer, and node 2 is the layer above it, and then node 3 is the layer above that, and so on. Any adjustment you make in an earlier node, like node 1, will affect the image that node 2 receives, and so on down the line. Right, so you see right here, this is actually a log footage that I shot from my GH6. Really shot in log, so what I'm gonna do here is use color space transform to convert the image back to Rec 709. So right here, I'm gonna go to input color space, Panasonic V gamut. I'm shooting Vlog, and then color space. Rec 709, and we're gonna use gamma 2.4. So as you see right now, the color are somehow back. I love this shot. This is me and my wife are celebrating Chinese New Year in Guangzhou, and this is like one of the best shots that I got. This is, oh my god, she is so cute. So what I'm gonna do right here is I right click here, add node, and I'm gonna create a serial, but before this node. Alright, one thing that we're working on the log footage, we want to make adjustment on the log footage before it was converted to 709, and that is because we have more rooms to work with, more bitrate and more dynamic range to work with, and Rec 709 is just like putting it back into place. Think of Rec 709 like a choker. It chokes your color. When you look right here, this is a log footage, and you see there is a lot of space and a lot of rooms to play around. And when we convert it back to Rec 709, everything is just stretched out, almost nothing to play with. So we want to make our changes right before our conversion. So right at the input of our node 2, this one, we're gonna make change to this if we were to make any changes for the color correction. So right now I'm gonna add a little bit of contrast, easy S curve. That looks pretty nice already. And then I'm gonna create a new node. I'm gonna hit Alt S to create a new node, and right at this node, I'm just gonna bring the overall saturation down just a little bit. You can hold down Alt to, to make subtle adjustment. And then we can hit Ctrl D to turn off and on the nodes and see what changes it made, so we have better understanding of our visuals. So because we added a little bit of contrast, we also added a little bit of saturation to our image. That's just how color works. So we can also right click and we can label our node label. Let's give it a name called contrast, and this one we name it saturation, and we can name this color space transform CST, contrast saturation CST. And right now my image has it kind of look pretty nice already, but we can adjust more for the looks. Right, so I'm gonna on S again, and then right down here I can node level and give it a name called look. Let's just call it look. And then we can, for the easy way, we can just go to film look creator. I'm gonna drag and drop into our node right here. It's a little bit too much, but that's okay. We can tone it down a little bit. We can go here, this one, key. We can lower the key output, right? That's like the opacity for the node key output. Just a little bit. Put it back. Looks pretty nice already. We can hit Alt D to see everything before and after all the grades. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. So why split adjustment? So you could do everything in one node, but splitting your adjustment into different serial nodes keep things organized. So for example, if this contrast I want to go back to change it, I can, and saturation and look, I can control it one by one, so everything is not mixed up in one node. I know this is a contrast node, this is a saturation node, and this is my look node. Right, so this is basically how serial nodes works. And right now I'm gonna jump into the parallel nodes. Now right click, reset all grade and nodes. There you go. Now we're back into one node. So right now we're back at the log footage. I'm just gonna convert it back to Rec 709 real quick. So this is Panasonic. Rec 709, and we want Gamma 2.4. So parallel node. So right here, I'm gonna hit Shift S to create a serial node before. We're gonna bring it back to here. So right now we have our log footage right here, and then it is feeding signals into this node. And then this node, right now we have nothing on it, and it's feeding image, and it's feeding its signal into our transform node. And then it's feeding into output, which is right here. Parallel nodes are different. Instead of one feeding into the next, multiple parallel nodes all take their input from the same previous node. So let me just show you. I'm gonna right click here, a node, and then add parallel node. And you will see something here pops up. Okay, let me undo that. Let me show you a little bit more clear example. We're gonna create another node right here, and then start from this node. We're gonna right click, add node, and add parallel node. Okay, I'm gonna put this down right here. So right now you can see we have node 1, and it's getting our signal from the log clip. We got node 2 and 3. Then the difference is node 2 and 3 are getting the signal from node 1. See that? They both have the same signal. Instead of working like a pipeline in the serial node, this one works like a bar, like a battery, like a parallel battery. So the difference is their outputs are being blended together with this mixer node. This is what you call the mixer node. And this is what you call the parallel mixer. Hold on, where are the names? There we go, parallel mixer. Before going to the next serial node, which is our transform. This is great for applying different effects to same base image and then combining them. For example, you might want to adjust highlight in one parallel node and shadows in another, both based on initial corrected image. So let's give an example. So right in this node, I'm gonna start clean from this node because for me, this image is looking pretty good already. But right now, I just want to make adjustment to the highlights and the shadow. One bit though, we need more shadows. Okay, let me create more shadows just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, we're gonna go to the first node, color wheels, and we're gonna increase the contrast. Increase the contrast a little bit. Okay, we have our color starts popping up. You can lower the pivot. You can see like the overall graph of our color is like going down. So we're creating shadows, and we're also creating rooms for the highlights. Not too much of a contrast. Down, let's play back and look a little bit. Okay. So for parallel nodes, I want to make changes to the highlight. Let's just level them first. Let's call this contrast, and then we can call this highlights, and then we can call this shadow. All right. So highlights and shadow. I'm gonna make my highlights just to like put some look into my highlights. And first, I'm gonna select my highlights. Let's go to my HSL, and for luminance, we're gonna drag on luminance, highs and low. I'm gonna turn on these filters to see our selection. So highlights are usually high. They're high. Yep, that's all highlights. And then yeah, the codes are bright. Yeah, it's part of the highlight. We can make it a little bit softer. Just make it look a little bit more natural. We can keep the high at 100, and we can just adjust the low to select the highlights. Right about there is good. The sun is hitting the hand, the sun is hitting the jacket, and the fur on the jacket is white, and everything else that sun is reflecting is white. Yeah, we can say that the highlight selection are pretty good. Okay, these are the highlights. So I'm going to turn off this, and then we're gonna make adjustment to the highlights. Right. So for highlights, maybe want to add a little bit of warm into the highlight. Maybe just a little bit to create a look. Maybe there. I'm just gonna use the color temperature to give a look into the highlight. Right about there, looks pretty fine. It looks sunny out. And for the shadows, we're gonna go back and select our shadows. So low luminance low at 0, and then high, we're gonna turn on the highs, and with a little bit of shadow, soften up the shadows and open up this thing right here. So right now you can see nothing is selected because everything is basically not that dark. So we're gonna turn off the highs until we see something. Okay, we can see the black bar. We can starting to see the hair. Yeah, we're starting to see the hair and some black shirts and her eyes. Right, these are decent blacks or shadows, you can call it. So maybe just right here for the selection. Okay, we're gonna turn this to see our image. We're gonna make changes to the low light area, to our shadows. So I've turned my highlights to warmth, and I'm gonna turn my shadows to the cold part. So let's turn this down and see what it gets. Let's hit Ctrl D to see the effects. Oh, we can see a little bit of blues in here. Give it a little more. Oh yeah, that's a look, right? For some reason, it kind of looks cinematic already. Let's hit Ctrl D and see. Yeah, cold in the shadows and warm in the highlights. That's a look. So what the parallel mixer does is it makes its adjustment of these two nodes together, like 50-50, like you can call it 50-50. And both of these nodes are getting its signal from the contrast node, so nothing is being overlaid over each other. They're just kind of mixing them both together. So another thing that I can do is also I can right click here and add node, new parallel node, also feeding my signals from the contrast from node number 1. And we can call this node, let's say, we can call this node, let's get skin tone. Yeah. I wanted to make a little bit of adjustment to the skin tone. So right here, I'm just gonna go to my dropper, use this 3D selection tool, and we're gonna draw a little bit of lines over her skin tone, her skins. We're gonna be selected more than just one part, but that is okay because light reflects off her skin, and it will also reflect on every other part of her body, so it is natural to select more than just her face. We can turn on to this to see where the selection is. Okay, that's about the selection. We got our hands selected, we got a face selected. Right now we can adjust the mask a little bit, we can refine the mask just a little bit. Pre-filter, clean black, clean white, black clip. Blur radius is important, and then we can add a little bit of dispel. And then now that we got our skin tone selected, you can play back if you want to see the selection through. Right now for me, it kind of looks pretty good already. We have most of our skins selected. Okay, and then let's turn off these highlights. And then we can make adjustment to our skins. Let's say I want my skin to look a little bit brighter. I'm just gonna do the color wheel here, and we're gonna turn off the gamma for our skin tone. You can hold down Alt to make finer adjustments. We can hit Ctrl D to see before and after our corrections. And let's play it back if everything looks natural. So because I only made a little bit like subtle adjustment, so everything is gonna look to the natural side. But if you make too much adjustment, it will start to look weird. We will have to start to see artifacts of our selection. See that? And that is really not good for color grading. You want to make subtle adjustment. So let's reset this. go back to our frame. Okay, this is pretty good. Yes, hold on, let's go back to our face. Okay, that's good. And then we're gonna add a little bit of highlights, a little bit of midtones to our image. I think that's enough. So what this parallel mixer does is it is mixing all my highlights, my shadows, and my skin tones all together into the mixer right here. So everything is gonna be happily ever after together. That is basically how parallel nodes works. But you know what? I'm gonna show you the example to have, what do you call it, a more visual example. So I'm gonna create a white solid. Create a white solid. Okay, I'm gonna go to color, and then in this white solid, make it a compound. Okay, now we got our compound clip right here, and right here we're gonna create 3 parallel nodes. Parallel and parallel. Node. Parallel. So we got the parallel right here, and then we're gonna name this red. We're gonna name this green, and we're gonna name this blue. Right here, I'm gonna create a mask. Create a mask. Turn the soft down, and we're gonna output red. Okay, this is our red. And this is green. Okay, green, I'll put the green. Let's circle mask. I'm gonna put it right here. So what are you seeing what I'm doing? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? This is blue, so we're gonna go to our blue output, increase the blue. We're gonna create a mask, something down, and this is all blue right here. So right now this is more a visual example of what the parallel mixer does to all the nodes that are being mixed together. It is basically 50-50. Red plus green equals to yellow, and we got blue plus green, cyan. And when all these 3 colors add together, we got white. So that is how parallel nodes works. Right, next we're gonna talk about layer nodes. Let's create a layer node. So basically, layer node, it works like layers. So to understand layer nodes, we are getting our signal from our log footage to our node 2 and node 1, and this is our layer mixer. So how layer mixer works is that it kind of works like layers. So you can tell it from the arrow right here. This is the bottom layer and this is the upper layer. And the more nodes you add and the more layer it's got. Instead of mixing them together, they are being layered. Each layer is on top of each other. So just like I said, if you take away all the colors from the first layer, all the other layer has no colors to work with. Even if I change this, and if I change this saturation, got no effects of the saturation right here. But of course, colors, gamma, things gonna work. So the best way to use layer nodes is when you have a lot of things to keys. So for example, for here, I would like my highlight to be selected, and I would like to adjust them separately without them like interfering with each other. So I will key out my highlights right here. I will key out my highlights right here. For example, these are my highlights, or these are my shadows, and then right here, maybe I like to key out the yellow color. So I'm gonna key this, and I'm gonna select yellow. And this affects just the yellow part of the image, and then this one maybe just the skin tone. Some colors may be selected multiple times, but you can go in there and adjust it separately, or maybe I don't want To adjust the skin tone, I would just like a power, just add a power window at a face to track a face right here, feather it out a little bit, and these are just the face. So right here, I got all my selections. I can color correct it or grade it in the layer matter. And every node will just do their own thing without interfering with other nodes. For example, if I have, highlights, I can change my highlights a little bit, warm highlights. My shadows, cold shadows, and then I can turn down the saturation for my jacket, and then for my face I can add a little of highlights in there, and then I can track it somewhat, and all these nodes, they are not mixing into each other. It is great for you one specific part of the image to be adjusted and not mix it with the others. So the layer node, it works pretty same as the serial node, but it's just more of a visual way to tell it. Because for serial node, if serial node, you will need to put them together, and the lines are a little bit jarring to look at. So these are basically how nodes works. Right, so right now we're gonna talk about outside nodes and what are outside nodes. And basically outside nodes, it works only with mask. So I'm gonna create a mask right here. Let's say I'm gonna create a mask right here. Where is my mask? There we go, that's my mask. And right at this node, you can see we have selected a little part of our image with the mask, and which is also this part. And what are outside node? We can right click right here, and we can add node and add outside node. And right here you can see, except for the portion right here, everything else is selected. It's basically selecting what is outside the mask. So that is how the outside mask works. So how is this useful? So for example, if I want to change the size of the mask, I can just change it, and the outside node will sync with the first one. So that's how it works. So for example, right now I have selected the middle part of my image, and I want to make the outside part of my image darker. I can go to my outside mask, and then I can just pull down the offset to make everything darker. And then I can go to inside mask and just turn everything brighter. That's basically how the outside mask works. I can also go in here to my mask, and then I can soften it up a little bit. So right now the inside and outside of the mask, they sync perfectly together, so they're not gonna fight each other. So this is the outside and inside mask. You can see that the inside is brighter and the outside is a little bit darker. You can select them and hit Ctrl D to see what are the masks doing to our image. And you can see the middle part is obviously being adjusted brighter, and the outer part is being adjusted darker. But you can see everything goes down and something goes up. That is basically what outside node does. If you have any question about nodes or anything we've covered today, please leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more DaVinci Resolve tutorials. We're posting a lot of content right now. And thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.